I'm Heidi Hewitt, AutoCAD Technical Marketing Manager at Autodesk, and I'm here with John Bordeau, Assistant Professor at Kankakee Community College, south of Chicago. John, we're talking about animations and walkthroughs in AutoCAD for 3D modeling, conceptual design, and we have talked about walkthroughs and flybys so far, but how do you compare those to animation paths?
Well, animation paths, we actually can control where the camera is and where the camera looks at. So they're two different things. So where is the target path and where is the camera? So we can control the camera. Think of the movies, they have the cameras going down the little tracks, going nice and slowly
along the tracks. That's a good analogy, I like that.
And you know, they're always pointing at the actors, right? So we can control where they're aiming the camera at. So we tend to have, you know, the camera path, and we have to have, you know, the target path.
And do you have best practices that you advise for, like what geometry, how students create their animation paths?
Yeah, I like them to have two paths. You know, you can use points, but I prefer the paths. I like a path for the camera and a path for the target. In particular, I like to use arcs or splines. They're nice and smooth, and we want the movie director to have the camera be moving nice and smoothly, not herky-jerky on a series of lines or a polyline or something like that. So we tend to like it nice and smooth, so I like those two types of lines in particular. Once in a while, depending on the scene, I like just a plain old line, but
if you're walking down a straight hallway at a hotel, maybe.
Yeah, but generally we like a little more visual interest than that. We like to have, you know, to be moving around and looking at various things. We just don't kind of look straight ahead all the time. So I tend to like the arcs and the splines.
Well, and one of the things I really like about using splines is, especially since, I don't know, a few releases ago when we added the Gizmo, the 3D Gizmos, where the user can hover over the grip and constrain the movement in the X, Y, or Z, or in a plane. I think it really makes editing those splines easier than it's been in the past.
It is, and it's a lot easier, and one of the most common problems is we like to make our splines really curvy, and that doesn't work with the animations as well.
Might make you a little dizzy going
Yeah, because you're spinning around too much, so we tend to always have to go in there and edit those with our grips and grab a hold of it and put less, you know, less radius into our splines generally is what we tend to do.
And do you typically have them put their splines or lines, whatever they're using for the animation path, on a particular layer?
Yes, I always have them make a layer for their animation paths and for their targets. And that way we can freeze it later on, get it out of the way so it doesn't show up in our scene. And we can make them in different colors so we can tell the difference between the cameras and the targets. So that makes it a little visual, a little easy for them to keep a track of things. If sometimes we have more than one camera paths in the scene and more than one target in our drawings, if they make 2 or 3 different animations, they want to be able to keep track of which ones are which.
And the benefit of that, of these paths compared to what we were talking about previously with walkthroughs and flybys, is the repetition, I assume, where they can repeat the same walkthrough or the same video. With
the Ani path, we can always keep the same exact, you know, animation, the same path of the camera and what we're looking at. When we're in with a 3D walk or 3D fly, it's hard to recreate the exact steps you took.
On the fly.
Yeah, it's more on the fly. So you can recreate that and sometimes find out that you went around a corner a little bit too fast and getting the viewer a little dizzy. So we might want to, you know, change that and edit those splines. So typically we are adjusting these splines as we go, and sometimes we're working through an object. It's not always just always around it. Sometimes we're trying to get through a particular area and we're fitting those splines to where we want. And sometimes we're trying to see into some area. So sometimes we have to adjust
kind of a tight path or something.
Yeah. Sometimes you want to look into a room or gaze into a room as you're looking down.
So have you ever, I just have to ask this because it's been my dream to animate a roller coaster. Have you ever done anything like that?
No, I had a student who wanted to design roller coasters, but she never took that class.
Oh, that would be fun. One of these days.
One of those, that'd be an interesting one. That might be a new assignment.
There you go. They'd love that. All right, thanks, John.
You're welcome.